Now unlock it, baby, this is for real. Are you a freak? Or what? I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. Hello, and today we are doing predictions for match day number 26 of the EFL Championship 2020 to 21 season. That was the song of the day. It is Are You a Freak by Snoop Dogg. What a tune. And with that, the lyric of Are You Just a Squirrel Trying to Get a Nut very much links in with the theme of the week. The theme is squirrels, and the film inspired by this is, of course, Ice Age. What a cracking film. And good old Scrap the Squirrel Rat, always trying to find that nut. But can the championship teams this week find the points? That's the question. Now, it's going to be a slightly different one because it's going to be shorter, and you could easily see on other predictions videos it being split differently, but this is the way I'm going to do it because basically there's a lot of games in very little days, and I've decided that I'm going to split it where this week we're predicting 4 games, and then next week, for week 27, we're predicting 17. I know. It just feels right because of the way the games fall. So check out my predictions video for week 27 coming very, very soon. But now we are doing the 4 games that happen over the weekend. The weekend, of course, of FA Cup action as well. So these are all the teams that are not involved in that. So we've got Stoke taking on Watford. We've got QPR versus Derby. We've got Preston Reading, and we've got Borough against Blackburn. So it should be interesting. And I felt the theme of the week of squirrels was appropriate, seeing as today it actually is, believe it or not, people, National Squirrel Appreciation Day. So yeah, out to those squirrels. But what is the colour of the week? Well, it's simple, really. The colour of the week is white, to go with the film Ice Age. And you already know that the song of the week is by Snoop Dogg. Right, let's get cracking. And before I do anything, like with what I said about the fixtures I'm predicting, it's a slightly different story in the fantasy football for Championship. So before we do any predictions, I'm going to basically review what's going on in my Championship team. Now, it's not exactly ideal stuff because I'm on a current red arrow, but to be fair, a lot of my players haven't played yet for week 25. But OLISE, 2 points. 2 points, man. I didn't transfer you in for that. And I captained Joao Pedro. Oh dear. How was I supposed to know that Xisco Munoz was going to go and bench him and play up front Andre Gray instead? So that's a really frustrating one. 2 from Sema. Yeah, not good at all. We've not even hit double digits yet. But I'm sure that will improve. And we've still got some big players from Swansea, from Brentford. Their game against Luton looks like it will go ahead now. So that's good. There were fears about that because obviously Thomas Frank got the virus, and I think he's now isolated for enough time, or if not, him not being at the game, then the squad are now recovered. So yeah, interesting stuff. But in goal, the guy that always does it for me, Freddie Woodman, he made an absolute blinder of a save against Barnsley, and obviously he hasn't got a game this week in my version of the predictions, so it'll be interesting to see. But it's an interesting one because we have a game against Millwall, and we do have a game in hand over a lot of the teams around us. So it is very, very important we get this win against Stoke, and then we can hopefully win against Millwall, because momentum is key in the Championship. And ultimately, if we win that game against Millwall, we'll be in the run of things, because we're currently 3rd before the Stoke game with a game in hand, and you know the performances have been quite professional. We've been seeing out games. Backman hasn't had a lot to do, and obviously that will be tested with Stoke, a slightly better attacking side, and also Millwall, who we know can frustrate and can play quite well. We still haven't played them this season, so we don't know how they're going to be. But we have played Stoke, and that was a last-minute game. Really, really nervy stuff, it's got to be said. And Ismaila Sarr, the hero, as he usually is this season for Watford. So yeah, I hope we can get the win here at the Bet365 Stadium, but it's not going to be easy, and that is for sure. But yeah, just going back to my fantasy team, I've made some changes. I've made some big changes for game week 26, and you're going to like it. I'm sure you are. So, of course, in goal is going to be Woodman. He's got a very tough game against Brentford, to be fair, which is not ideal. But the way this works, which is different to what I'm predicting right now, so I've categorised Stoke Watford, QPR Derby, Preston Reading and Borough Blackburn all as week 26. And then I've put all the rest of the games in week 27. Well, Fantasy for Championship on Gaffer.io has not done that. They've basically done it where they've put in a double game week. So obviously we've got the game for Watford on the Friday night, 7:45. But they've put in, as well as the QPR, Preston and Middlesbrough games, the Millwall second game for Watford is apparently for fantasy terms in this week as well, and Bristol City's rearranged game with Huddersfield, and Borough's game against Rotherham. So there's a few teams having two games in this fantasy week, and obviously we've got Coventry Wednesday, Barnsley Cardiff, and Swansea Brentford, and they're all midweek games. But I just thought I would put it into week 27. So fantasy terms, we can expose that, and I've hopefully done that with some of the transfers I've made. It's not ideal because I've had to make a -4, but the reason for that is that basically I had to get rid of my Birmingham defenders because I just don't really see many clean sheets on the horizon for them. But also they didn't have a fixture, and I had two Birmingham defenders, and I already had Max Aarons and Cyrus Christie who weren't playing because of no fixture. So I had to basically take a -4 hit to get in two players that were actually gonna, start for me in defence. And I've got now Olise, who let me down in the last game, but he's on the bench if need be. But I've got a solid team, and let's talk through it. So in goal we've got Woodman. Yeah, it's a game against Brentford in game week 27 from my point of view, but it's still a game where he can get save points, he can get performance bonus. And then in the back three, this is where we've got the change, and we've made a few changes. So, first of all, to tell you is that I've made a transfer, and the Championship version of Van Dijk is in. Let's go. I'm telling you, he's going to be quality for me. And when I say the Championship version of Van Dijk for week 26, what I mean is the Middlesbrough defender that goes by the name of Dyke Steele. What an absolute baller. And it's felt the way of Van Dijk as well. And obviously, we know Van Dijk's out injured, but this guy is still going strong. And he's got two fixtures, which is part of the thinking for bringing him in. And I'm hoping Borough can, shut up shop a little bit. They're under Neil Warnock. They know that they can defend. It's whether they can do it consistently. But I think these are two favourable home games. Blackburn have been a good side this season, but I could see that maybe being a 0-0. And then the Rotherham game, that's a very good chance of a clean sheet. So hopefully that's a very, very good transfer. And I'm pretty sure I brought him in for Pedersen. Now the other transfer I've done is another defender, Kiko Femenia. Now it's maybe not ideal, the Watford bias creeping in there, but it had to be done because he's got so much quality going forward, and we're keeping clean sheets with Backman. So it felt like a no-brainer, especially with Femenia having two matches. I mean, it's a risk. You have to take risks sometimes, because you could say Femenia has played a lot for us recently, and it could mean he gets a rest with Ngaka coming in. But, we don't want to chance it on that. We think Femenia is worth it, and probably worth this -4 hit. So against Stoke and Millwall, let's hope for some attacking returns as well as clean sheets for the Spaniard, who's going to be bombing down that right-hand side. I can see it now, like he did against Huddersfield. So that's my second transfer this week. And then the other defender that I already had, who, to be fair, I have benched a lot this season. And it's not ideal, of course it's not, because Middlesbrough play Rotherham in their second game of this game week. So it means I'll have Dyke Steele and Wood up against each other, which is not ideal. Obviously, if it's a 0-0, very, very ideal, but the chance of that happening is unlikely. But we know with Wood from Rotherham that he's got attacking threat. And he had a goal, I'm pretty sure, in the last game disallowed. I think it was the one against Derby that Rotherham won, if I'm right in thinking. Game week 25. Yeah, I was right. Or no, Rotherham against Stoke. I'm pretty sure actually. Wait, was Rotherham playing Derby the week before? Maybe they were, to be fair. Yeah, they might have been. Yeah. So Derby played against Rotherham in game week 24, and I think that was the game that he got a goal disallowed where he did score. But obviously Rotherham got a high-scoring 3-3 draw with Stoke. Now that's not ideal to foreshadow his defensive capabilities, is Wood. But as I said, he can get attacking returns. So I'm going to play him this week. I'm going to go bold, seeing as I've got no other defenders, and hope for the best. So that's my back three. But what is my midfield? So we've got Brian and Mbuemo. Is it Mbuemo or Mbuemo? I don't know, but he's a cracking baller. Now, he's struggled for confidence a little bit this season. Had times where he really should have scored more goals, gilt-edged opportunities, but he's starting to get confident now in that Brentford team. And it wasn't ideal last week because I had Toney and Mbuemo playing, and they obviously didn't have a game. Their game got called off. I think it was with Bristol City in midweek or something. And now they're back in action against Luton. So basically, it was not good because I brought him. I already had him, but he was going to be useful for the double, and he didn't have a double. But he's got a game against Swansea. Hopefully, he can do well, and hopefully, Brentford players for me can be back with a bang. And then we've got Semenyo, who we transferred in a few weeks ago, and I was kind of umming and ahhing about it, but I think he is a good player. Hopefully, he gets more game time, but he's got a game against Huddersfield, which I quite like. So hopefully, Bristol City can do well in that game. But then we've got Jamal Lowe, who I captained straight away against Barnsley, and what a legend, he went and scored. Now, alright, allow it, I'll admit, it was a controversial goal. It was phase of play, debate, and it was very, very likely to be offside, but we'll take it. We'll take a captaincy haul, and we'll take a return, and now he's got a very tough game again against Brentford. I said about how I've got players playing against each other this week. It's very much the case because I've got 2 Swansea players and 2 Brentford players, but it is what it is. Like we move on, and we still think Lowe can get points in any given week against any given team, even if it is someone as good as Brentford. And then in the last midfield spot, we have Ken Sema. Once again, he's got 2 games, and he just bombs down that left-hand side. And unlucky to be not getting an assist, I'd say, against Barnsley in midweek. And against Huddersfield, he was decent, but hasn't got an assist for a while. So it'd be nice to get them back in this game week. And that wraps up my midfield. We will get on to our predictions. Don't you worry for these weekend games, the 4 matches. But I just wanted to get you up to speed with my team right now. So the front 3. Now this is not locked in. It's just what I have at the minute in terms of captaincy decisions. So we've got the front 3 that has done so well for me. Toney, Andre Ayew, and João Pedro. Now, Pedro coming off the bench, not last week, but the week before that, week 24. That was brilliant. Obviously, the Brentford game got postponed, so that's meant I didn't miss out on his goal against Huddersfield. Against Barnsley, we went and captained him, and it didn't work. But he has got 2 games, so it's very tempting to captain him again, because the chances are he'll get more points than anyone else. I wouldn't be confident captaining Sema. And maybe I just captain Toney because he's just so consistent. But he's only got 1 game, so I think it would be silly to not captain Pedro. So that's why I'm going to do it. But I'm going to change the vice captaincy because I had my vice captain as Toney last time when I captained Pedro. This time, my actual vice captain, I know it's bold, but it's going to be Semenyo. Semenyo because he's got a game against Huddersfield. So if Pedro, say, doesn't start the next 2 games, I think that what Semenyo can get in that 1 game will be enough for Pedro for what he gets in those 2. So that's my thinking behind that, basically. Captain Pedro, vice-captain Semenyo, and you never know. Semenyo might not get the game. So if he misses out, no problem. We've always got the emergency captain, and that emergency captaincy has to go to Ivan Toney, who's been so consistent this season. I'll probably not regret captaining Toney. I will regret. Because he will probably score even more goals. But that's what I'm going to go with because it feels safe right now. With Olise on the bench, Smith, Christie and Aarons on the bench also. And we've used up a few of our boosts this season. We've still got unlimited transfers to go. We've still got optimal captain choices. We've still got the ×3 multiplier for the captain and for the vice captain. And we've still got the park the bus ×2 applied to the defenders. We've used up our boosts, which were the I can't actually read what it says. It's greyed out, so I can't read it, unfortunately. It was the one with the... If you go onto the gafferart.io website, and if you've got a fantasy team, you'll know. It's the one with the football and the flames coming off of it. And then the other one, the boost that I used, was the group of people. I don't know what that means, but the point is, that's my team locked in for game week number 26. Let's hope for some more points. And to be fair, we're not far off where we want to be. We want to try and find a way to get into second in my league. Because at this point, first is miles off. They're in absolute dreamland with 1,538 points. And I'm down there with 1,392. But our closest rivals are currently on 1,412. So there's a decent small gap there. We can take back, but we just got to keep pushing. We've been third for a while, but we've got to hope for some consistency because we've had 2 green arrows, 2 red arrows. Then there was a week from week 15 to 17 where we got loads of green arrows, but we just haven't got that back to that really since. So let's hope for some good stuff there for the fantasy terms. But we are going to get to the main part of the video, and that is, of course, the predictions. So first game is going to be Stoke against Watford, and obviously I've got Ismailis. No, I haven't got Ismailis. So I've got Joao Pedro, and I've got Sema, and I've got Femenia in this game. At one point I had Nick Powell, and he will be a threat again, but I don't know. I just feel this is a tough game for Watford. I mean, I hope the lads prove me wrong and get a win there because it would be so big to keep the wins going and get the third on the bounce. But I just feel we might stumble here. Not in a defeat because I think we're strong enough to score goals. I mean, our away form has been worrying, but I'm confident we can do enough. But I just feel Stoke, on their day, they can be quite a good team, especially at home. And you know, it's the old cliche of, can we do it on a rainy night in Stoke? I don't know if we can get the win, but I'll take the draw, especially depending on if we're in a losing position. But I've just got this bad feeling that we might be winning the game and then we just take our foot off the gas and Stoke punish us. So I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to go with Stoke City 2, Watford 2. And goal scorers in the game, first of all, a strike from Thompson for the Potters on 11 minutes. Then Watford equalised with a goal from Troy Deeney, and he loves to score against Stoke, and he actually did it in his first Premier League goal that he scored in the 15-16 season, all the way back in those times. But obviously both sides now in the Championship, and I think he'll get the equaliser on 24 minutes. But then Watford take the lead with a goal on 56 minutes through absolute wing wizard Ismailis. And then Stoke regrettably equalise on 71 minutes with a goal from a man who scored in the reverse fixture. It is Fletcher. Right, that wraps up my prediction for Watford's game, but next we've got a game between QPR and Derby County. I'm going to go for a very tight game here because Derby, they got the win against Bournemouth, very good result for them, and that'll give Wayne Rooney a bit of confidence after he basically became the full-time manager of that club. And, you know, QPR are a tough team to guess sometimes, but I just feel Derby, they might just take a bit of confidence from that Bournemouth game, and QPR, meh, they're doing alright, but I don't think they're doing amazing stuff, unless I'm missing anything. But I'm going to go with a Derby win, and I'm going to say a 1-0 win, and it's going to be smash and grab stuff, I reckon, for the Rams, with a goal coming on 85 minutes. Who scores it, though, for Derby is another question, but I will go with the man to make the difference on the night to be Jordan Ibe. In a 1-0 victory for Rooney's team. And finally, or penultimately, we have Preston versus Reading. And Preston, again, they're a tough team to call because on paper, you look at their team and you think, oh, it's quite a good team. But it's not been the case recently. And Reading got a very good win against Coventry. What an absolute stunner of a free kick from John Swift. That is brilliant. Amazing goal. But Preston, I just don't fancy them for the win here. I think Reading are a really good team this season, and I'd love to see a Preston win because Reading are currently joint with us, I'm pretty sure, and they will put the pressure on us. But I just don't see where Preston are going to get goals here. So we're going to go for the actual same scoreline as the reverse fixture in terms of the order of it, but it's going to be for the other team in terms of the spoils. It's going to be 3-0, but this time for Reading. So Preston 0, Reading 3, and I'm going to go for goals for Reading. Going to be coming from, first of all, Yaku Mate. Then we're going to get a much needed goal. Well, I say a much needed goal. Actually, I've decided in my fantasy team to I think I've benched. I'm pretty sure I've benched. What's his name? Well, where's he gone? Okay then, where is it then? I was sure that I had. Maybe he's left the club. No, Michael OLISE. That's right. I had him in my fantasy, and yeah, he didn't exactly do well. But I don't want him to score because he's on my bench now. So forget that. The first goal though is still going to come through Mate. The second goal, we'll say John Swift again. Why not? And the third one, it's inevitable, but it's going to be Lucas João. He's on great form, and when he received the ball in that game against Coventry, he chested it down, and he was about 3 yards out, and you just betted your house that he would get a goal there. So yeah, I think he's going to come up trumps again in a very good 3-0 win for Reading. And we conclude this video with a prediction of Middlesbrough versus Blackburn. Now, Blackburn obviously have had a rest because their game with Swansea was postponed due to a waterlogged pitch. I mean, when you think about it, it's the second division of top English football. It's amazing that these kind of things are happening. And it's amazing that these kind of technical difficulties are happening where my face gets frozen. It's very annoying when that happens, but we can't do much about it. But I'm going to go for a draw here, which might be surprising because Blackburn are quite good this season, but I just feel Borough have got the confidence to see games out this season. So we'll say a high-scoring 2-2 draw in this game at the Middlesbrough Stadium. Who are we going to say is going to get the goals in this game? Well, I think Middlesbrough will start off well and get the opener in this one. And who's going to score for Middlesbrough? Let's say it's going to be the defender that goes by the name of Nathan Wood. And then the equaliser for Blackburn is going to come from Harvey Elliott. And then Borough once again go ahead. And I think that their goal is actually going to come from Dijksteel. And then Blackburn once again have the last laugh with an equaliser deep into added time, which will absolutely frustrate the Middlesbrough fans like wild. And who do I reckon is going to get that goal for Blackburn? Well, actually, it's going to be a penalty. And it's going to be a penalty scored by Lewis Holtby. Now, I don't know if he takes penalties regularly, but I don't really care, to be honest, because he's going to do it this week and get the decisive point for Rovers. That wraps up my predictions for matchday number 26 of the Championship. Hope you have enjoyed. Smash a like on the video, and I shall see you in the next one, people. Goodbye.